Etihad Cargo Connections, another fantastic horseman joins us, Clayton Douglas, trainer of Giga Kick. Clayton, thank you so much for your time, man.
No worries. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, before you got started as a trainer, you understand the other side of the equation as a jockey, almost 248 career wins. How did you develop a passion for horse racing? Where were you and how old were you?
Look, I was pretty young at the time. My whole family had been involved in racing. So it's sort of something that I've grown up with. I started probably riding track work at about the age of 11, and then sort of progressed from there. Obviously went through the amateur scene as a jockey, took up jumps riding, and then at the same time I started riding professionally on the flat as well, which gave me a little bit of success. So it was really good.
It can be tricky, certainly, to have that dynamic, the appropriate level of tension between a jockey and a trainer. A lot of jocks understandably think the trainer is in their ear too much, but with your background, I would suspect you get more leeway in terms of these guys understood you've done this and done it at a high level and can perhaps give them some insight to help them make some money.
Yeah, look, I'm a pretty good, with how all these systems are now with your form videos. You can really get on top of a lot of things. And obviously I was a big track walker as well when I was riding. So look, I've sort of always seemed to have done my homework, but look, when it comes to situations, you've got to be pretty lenient in how things are going to happen. You need a few plans, and it's like any horse race, nothing always goes to plan. So you always need to have a couple of second options. But yeah, look, I sort of understand it quite well and know what needs to be done.
And your jockey career is not too far in the past. I think it was your first winner as a trainer was what, in 2020. Could you have imagined in your wildest dreams a couple of years later you've got a horse running the big bad Everest?
Yeah, it's unbelievable to think. Just to even think this horse has won a maiden his first start in February. So now we're taking on the best here in Australia, and he's done nothing wrong, like you say. He's 4 from 4, and he's a bright horse for the future here in Australian racing, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes on Saturday. He's done really well since he's arrived in Sydney, and I'm really pleased with the horse. So I can't wait to get there.
And you mentioned that horse, of course, is Giga Kick, and he comes from a fantastic bloodline. His sire is Scissor Kick. What can you tell us about Scissor Kick?
Yeah, look, Scissor Kick was quite a good racehorse. He was only a lightly raced horse. Look, his progeny have been a little bit disappointing, to be honest, at this point. But I think this horse is sort of raising the flag for him. He's a lovely style of horse, this horse. He's flashy, got the white legs and chestnut, really rich chestnut colour, and got a great attitude, which probably is going a long way to being able to cope with these high-pressure races that he's racing in. And he's just a bomb-proof horse to have around the stable. And hopefully the success can keep on going.
You're running, of course, for the famous James Heron bloodstock, and James and his team won it with Redzel in 2017. What similarities, perhaps, do you see? I know only 4 starts, but 4 for 4 with Giga Kick and the historic Redzel.
Yeah, look, this horse, he's got a bit of X factor. Probably he's coming from different form lines to obviously normally, horses out of the Premier Stakes in Sydney. Obviously, go the 2 weeks into the Everest, but this horse is obviously been up against his own age his last 2 starts. He had to carry the penalty down the straight with 7 weeks between runs in the Danehill, and he's still good enough to be able to beat his own age. And he's one of those horses that he was probably starting to get away from us fitness wise leading into the Danehill, but he's still too good for those bunch of horses. So he's be rock solid fit with the 2 weeks between runs, and the 53 on his back. I think he's a live chance.
Etihad Cargo Connections. I'm AP Herrald. He's Clayton Douglas, fantastic jockey. Recently, just the last couple of years, turned trainer, and he's making some waves in that arena as well. We've talked about it. Giga Kick hasn't run a bunch, but every time he's been out there, he's finished first. That's the name of the game. If you had to assess his top 2 or 3 qualities, what are those?
His temperament is probably a big thing. He's a beautiful, quiet horse. He copes with things very well. His racing pattern is very versatile. Well, he's a very versatile horse. He won the Vane Stakes, come from well back off a slow speed, and he obviously led up his first start and sat on speed in the Danehill as well. So he's very, very versatile in that sense. He's got a beautiful action. He's won on every ground we've asked him to win on. He's won on soft, won on dry. So he's got some good ticks along next to his name. So hopefully he can take that towards Saturday.
And he's won G2. He's, of course, won G3, but he's jumping into the big leagues. Not officially G1, but the Everest is really unofficially, it's an elite G1. Let's describe the perfect race for Giga Kick from the start to the close for you guys to pull off the upset. What does that look like? It
probably looks like us letting the speed go, camping off the speed, probably four to 5 lengths off them, getting that nice trailing run somewhere, and then just getting in balanced up, top of the straight, and being sort of right there to pounce at that stage. And just having a nice, smooth, uninterrupted transit run. I'm sure if that's the case, you see a big finish down the middle.
Clayton, you mentioned horse racing is a lot like warfare. You can have this great battle plan, and then 2 seconds into it, everything changes. From a trainer's perspective, of course, you're a jockey as well. How important is it for a jockey to understand that and be able to, if he has to, throw the game plan completely out the window, 2 seconds in, and adjust?
Yeah, look, we've got Craig Williams on. He's ridden him his last 2 starts, and exactly right. You can go out with a game plan, but like you say, sometimes it just has to go completely out the window. So, if he steps away slow and he's back, we have to cop our medicine. If he begins fast and puts himself there, and they seem to just go a dawdling tempo, which I wouldn't think they would with a couple of big boys in it. But yeah, look, it's sort of something that I'm sure Craig, he's obviously one of Melbourne's leading riders, and he'll have that all assessed, and he's very good at making split decisions.
Yeah, tell us more about Craig, who he is on the track, and also his personality, demeanor off the track.
Yeah, look, Craig Williams, he's a lovely guy to talk to. He's done a lot of work. He's been a really good asset to my team at this stage. He's obviously well across everything. He's a very talented rider. He's just a superstar jockey and a superstar bloke. So he's been really good. He's called me and he's checked up on how the horse is, and he's really pushed for this horse to get to this race, and he's happy to stick with him. Obviously, being a leading Melbourne rider, he's probably given up a lot of good rides this coming weekend in the Caulfield Cup and etc. To come up to Sydney and ride him in the Everest. So he's got a lot of faith in the horse, and so do we.
Clayton, let's jump into your backstory. Where were you born and where'd you grow up?
Yeah, look, I was born in Melbourne. Grew up around the Mornington area. I'm training myself at Mornington on course there, and it's great facilities. It's a great setup, and I've got a good number of horses at the moment. And yeah, look, I've obviously played footy as a young fella, and then sort of got stuck into the horses. I probably would have thought I might have been a leading AFL footballer, but the height didn't sort of grow, and it didn't get much bigger. So it took me hand to riding, and yeah, I love the horses, and it's such a thrill.
I've seen a lot of guys who either didn't have success as a jockey or they were too big, too tall to be a jockey, become a trainer. Not as many guys who had such a fantastic career as you to jump right into training. When did you know? Was it your body? Was it perhaps was there a girl? Is this a country song? She said, "Hey, it's time to get off the horse and start training him." What was the thought process to move from riding him to training him?
Look, I'm nearly 6 foot, so I'm relatively tall to be a jockey. I worked very hard on my weight. I sort of every day was a bit of a grind. It was, a lot about my nutrition and exercise, and worked very hard. I actually took up a dual license where we're allowed to train a couple of horses and ride at the same time. And it started getting a bit of a hard management job to do both. And I felt like it was sort of time for me to pull up stumps on the riding and really put my focus towards the horses. And look, it's starting to pay off. We got some nice winners, and like you say, it's got to be an enjoyment because it is hard work as well.
Clayton, when we finish this interview, I'm going to get with you privately. We got so many fatties over here in America. If you can be almost 6 foot tall and be a jockey, we're going to have the Clayton Douglas diet. We're going to take it from Los Angeles to New York, from San Francisco to Atlanta, and we're going to make gajillions of dollars. So we'll get back to that one. Clayton, the Everest 1,200 meter is a sprint for thoroughbreds. What's the ideal distance for Giga Kick if you could make the Everest any length?
Yeah, look, 1200's probably spot on. We're happy with that. He sort of had his first start over the 1100, and always thought that we earmarked him as sort of a 1200-meter horse. He's electric, he's fast, he's got running times. So, yeah, I'm happy with the 1200 of the Everest. It's going to be a high-pressure race, which I'm expecting him to absorb very well. He needs to, because it's his first time going to the 1200 in his career, but I think he's going to be rock solid at it. And I'm happy with the distance, and I'm happy that we've got the right horse for the race.
Etihad Cargo Connections, Clayton Douglas, veteran jockey turned trainer just a few years ago. He is the trainer of Giga Kick, one of the 12 entrants in the upcoming very soon Everest. Clayton, Giga Kick obviously on a roll, has never been beaten. That said, the competition extremely fierce at the Everest. How tempted are you to change anything in the training protocol, or you have the confidence, even with the big boys, and just keep rolling as we have been?
Yeah, look, I've got a lot of faith in this horse. He's got a good handle of him. I've had him since a yearling. I know him very well. I know what the horse needs. I sort of know, if we need a little bit more work or if we need to back off. I'm obviously up here in Sydney with him, so I'm spending, most hours every day with him, and it's something that you really need to know your horse, and I feel like I've got a great handle on him.
Your career as a trainer is similar to the Everest, and both have taken off in a short period of time. We are entering just the second half decade of the Everest. It's the talk of the town, if you will, down under, and certainly getting some international publicity. As a horseman, what are your thoughts on the rapid ascension of the Everest from idea to a superstar, not just race, but cultural event?
Oh, it's great. It's a great concept. It's very intriguing. Obviously, with these slot holders getting able to choose what horse they want to run in the race, and then having to, behind the scenes, obviously get the deals done with the owners, so it suits both parties. It's very intriguing. It's something different. A lot of prize money on offer, and the Sydney media have really got behind it, and it's a big build up to the race on Saturday. So it's very exciting to be a part of it, and it's just unreal to think that I've got a horse in it.
Clayton, you're a young guy, but you've done a lot of things. You played some football, jockey, trainer. I'm going to give you a new career. You're the weatherman, and you can make the track however you want for your horse, Giga Kick. Does Giga Kick prefer it as bone dry as the desert there in the middle of your fantastic country, or do you want a monsoon to come down from the South China Sea and blanket that with a couple of feet of mud? What do you want?
Look, ideally, we're probably going to cop a heavy track in Sydney by the looks of it, but as long as we can have a couple of nice days leading in, and the track is playing evenly, it's not biased at any point. Look, I'll be happy with that. He's won on a slow 7 track. He's also won on good tracks, but he won on a slow 7, ran the same time that he did on a good track. So he definitely appreciates the cut in the ground. Ideally, if we got a slow 7, which we know he's performed on, that would be great. But look, I think he'll go through the wet ground. He's worked on it at home, and that's the cards we're dealt with, and I'm happy to be running him.
We mentioned that you're not the oldest trainer by any stretch of imagination, and Giga Kick, of course, is the youngest horse in the field, just 3 years old. Yes, I guess, is the lone 3-year-old to win the Everest. Your thoughts on age? Is it just a number, or is it important?
Look, with the weight for age scale, we get the weight pool. 3-year-olds have had a really good record, and if they haven't had, if they haven't won, they've run really well, obviously with the light weight. And I think that'll really come to hand late it's a really solid 6 furlongs, which I'm expecting to be, with the light weight over the concluding stages could be the difference between winning and losing. Like you say, he's a young horse, but he's been pretty well managed to this point. Obviously, the 4 from 4, first horse to go to the Everest that's unbeaten. And like you say, I'm actually probably the youngest trainer as well, being only 27. So got the youngest horse and the youngest trainer. So hopefully it can be a fairy tale.
The young guns, Clayton Douglas, and of course, Giga Kick. Let's look past the Everest. And of course, I guess some of this has to do with how you guys perform, but you got the Coolmore Stud Stakes coming up. That's a G1 big boy. You think he'd run him there, or would he sit for a spell? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, he's done really well. I felt like he probably needed the run in the Danehill Stakes at the Group 2 level last time. ideally, he pulling up well from Saturday's run. He will go to the Coolmore. There's also other options. We can wait the week. There's another Group 1, 1,200 metres down the straight, which gives us 3 weeks between runs. So, look, he's coping very well, this horse. He's had a pretty sparing preparation. He's only obviously had the 2 runs leading into the Danehill the other day with the 7-week gap. So we've managed him well to this point. So there should be a bit of racing left. But look, we'll just listen to the horse after this Saturday. But I would suspect that we'll be right to have another run.
Etihad Cargo Connections, our guest is Clayton Douglas, the trainer of Giga Kick, had a fantastic career, 248 wins as a jockey. If I know anything about jockeys over here in the States, they're a superstitious bunch. They've got their rituals and their traditions. Did you have any of those? And if so, do any of those continue into your new career as a trainer?
I rode in a couple of Group 1s as a jockey, and I always used to go and buy a new suit because I didn't want to wear the same thing to the races. Look, there's a couple of little silly things that I do. I've got to get to the races and do my little ritual brush that I do before the race and stuff like that. But I don't get too tied up into that stuff. I just try and keep things simple. And as long as we got the horse there in good order, I'm happy.
Well, let's move past the superstitions and even the traditions and look at the reality. The heavy favorite, of course, everybody talking about, and deservedly so, is Nature's Strip. First, your thoughts on that world-class sprinter.
He's a superstar. He's an unreal looking horse. He's a big, solid horse, very relaxed. He's obviously gone over to Europe, done it, come back. Got the utmost respect for him. And I'm actually just that excited to see him in the flesh. I haven't seen him before. And to think that I've got a horse in the same mounting yard as him, it's going to compete. It's amazing to think. And, he's an old seasoned campaigner. He's been there, he's done it. He's just a superstar, and he deserves to be favourite. He's going to take some beating, but hopefully our horse can do the job.
You're right. He is a superstar, but he's beatable. He has been beaten. You mentioned Giga Kick hasn't, of course, only 4 races, but hey, all you can do in 4 races is win 4, and you guys have done that. Where would you prefer to be if you could pick it out in the gate vis-a-vis Nature's Strip? You want to be right up against him? Do you want to be on the opposite end? Do you want to be in the middle? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, probably midway. I'd like to be sort of midfield, not giving him too much of a start. He's a horse that can roll along at a high cruising speed and then quicken. So I think if we're sort of within touch, sort of on straightening, and we've got him in our sights, I think that would probably be the best case scenario. But, there's looks to be a lot of pressure in this race, a lot of speed. So there'll be a few that want to hunt up and try and put a bit of pressure on him. He's going to be the horse that's hunted, as you would say. And, he's done it. He's absorbed the pressure before, but hopefully that we can be having the last crack at him.
Clayton, you mentioned you love the temperament of your horse, Giga Kick. Now, this is the biggest race he's ever run, and the crowd is fantastically wild. There's a bunch of them. They're drinking. They're young. Any concerns at all how we might react to such a boisterous atmosphere vis-a-vis some more traditional settings?
Look, we've probably, I think he coped very well, this horse. You're right. He hasn't probably been to a big high class amphitheatre of a Randwick mounting yard where there's a crowd fully covering the mounting yard, and like you say, there'll be a lot of cheering and excitement around it. But look, he gets a pair of pre-race earmuffs. That's all just through procedure. So he'll just have the earmuffs on, try and keep him nice and settled, keep him quiet, just let him get into a rhythm. He's coped very well with everything I've asked him to do. So I'm sure he'll handle himself well. But that'll be our main goal while we're at the races, is just to keep him nice and relaxed. And it's probably like with every other runner in the race. We've all got to cope with it. And but I think he's the right horse for the job.
And finally, Clayton, you mentioned you're just 27. You've done a lot of stuff in life. It's been your hard work. Some has been fate, karma, luck, good fortune, etc. Your advice to a youngster who's trying to figure out what he or she wants to do in life and going for it?
Yeah, look, probably my advice would be work hard and just have a goal. Just work on your goal. Sometimes things don't work out, but you just got to stick at it. It's one of those things that I know in racing it's not an easy thing. It's very difficult. It's a hard grind, and some days you just want to throw the towel in. But it sort of comes to a point where there is a lot of lows, but you do get a lot of highs if you work hard, and that's the main thing. You just got to work hard and mentally keep at it, and hopefully the rewards can come for people.
Clayton Douglas joins us on the Etihad Cargo Connections, the trainer of Giga Kick, had a fantastic career as a jockey, making even more waves as a trainer. Very much appreciate your time and best of wishes in the Everest, sir.
Thank you very much and appreciate having you on. Thank you.